Hello and welcome to Stampendous Step by Step, where we show you step by step how to make one of the cards on our current store display board. We're here in the Stampendous graphics office, and today we're looking at this board that we made for holiday 2021. This is one of our Halloween and fall boards, and you'll see this board on display in your local stamp store. We're going to look today at this dome jar shaker card with the pumpkin night set. So let's take a look how this is made. So this is made with the dome jar shaker die, and it makes it into this little WindowRama diorama card that can fold flat to go in an envelope. It goes into a standard A2 envelope, and then it pops up and it can stand up for display, and it's really cute. They're super adorable, and we make them all the time because we just love this die set. The die set has 16 pieces in it, and it's got all kinds of things for making bubblegum machines and little domes and snow globes and jars and all kinds of fun stuff. So it comes with a ton of pieces. One of our favorite toys to play with. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the inside of the card, which features the pumpkin night stamp. This little stamp here we have for Halloween. It's got, there we go, 4 cute little pumpkins with a bat and an owl and a moon and some stars. And we took this and we stamped it in Memento Ink on white cardstock, our mixed media white paper, and we have it here all colored in with Copic markers. And on these videos, I'm not going to show you how to do the coloring. I'm just going to show you how to assemble and make the card. So you could color this however you like for your pumpkin night. So we're going to use our die cutting machine, and we're going to take the dome jar shaker set, and we're going to use, there's several layered pieces in this set, and we're going to use the layered square or rectangle here, and we're going to use the small one to cut out the pumpkin night so that it can just slip right inside the back of the card. So we'll just place it on here. What we want to do on this card, because it has this little base on the bottom here, is we want the design to be way up by the top. Can you see how close to the top it is? And there's a lot of space at the bottom, so that's okay. These designs are all designed to fit right in this card, but we're going to do it so that it's not centered, so that we have room at the bottom and our little base doesn't cover up any of our pumpkins. So see how I've got that where the bottom is much larger than the top. And we're going to go ahead and just run that through our die cutting machine, our Big Shot. And that gives us a little piece that we can just slide right into the back of the card, the little pumpkin night section. So before I put this in the card, I'm going to add glitter to it. Don't go very far, Big Shot. We will need you in a minute. When I use our crystal glitter, I always use a piece of scratch paper, fold it in half on my desk, and I use the Zig two-way glue pen, and we always put our powders in these containers. We take them out of the jar that it comes in and pour it into the container because it's a little easier to use that way. So we use all of our Glad containers for that. Our little two-way glue pen, get it started on the scratch paper, and we're going to add a little bit of glitter to the stars and the moon. I put glitter on everything because I love this glitter so much. I just literally put it on every card. And that was good. And I'm going to fill in their little mouths with it. The nice thing about this glitter is it's translucent, so it's going to let the color come through of whatever you've colored on the page. And then I like to use a plastic spoon in my little container to put the glitter on the image and flick it off. And you can, I don't know if you can see how it sparkles, but it's very sparkly. I think everything Halloween needs to be very sparkly. Okay, so that's the inside of our card, so we'll set that aside. Now, to make the dome jar shaker, you have your die cutting machine here. So make sure that you can see that okay. First, we'll do the back. These are a panel of Plum cardstock from My Colors. So we're going to cut the front of our our dome jar shaker card first, and we're going to use the base structure of the dome jar shaker, and then we're going to use the larger of the two ovals that come with it to cut the window out of the front. And the same way that we cut the pumpkin night into where the top was smaller and the bottom was bigger, we want the bottom of this to be bigger so that there's room for this base without covering up the stamp. So we're going to position this a little close to the top and leave a little more, I'm going to do it right side up though, a little more space on the bottom for the base to go. And I'm actually putting it on the non-textured side of the card. I'm going to use some removable tape to hold that middle piece in place while I also hold the whole thing to the paper. And I'm going to put my cutting plate on top, and then I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to just regular printer weight, typing weight paper, and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to use that as kind of a shim. When you have a lot of these little skinny lines that you're cutting, and you only have like a little bit of edge at the top there, you know, that's going to get cut off, it's good to have a little shim in here that kind of adds a little thickness so that the Big Shot can really cut it well. So I'm going to go forward all the way through on it, and then when I get to the last click, the bottom cutting, then I'm going to go backward so that it all gets cut. It all gets the pressure 2 times, and that plus the shim is really going to help it come out of there and release from the die well, and then come off of the paper. You're still going to maybe have to bend the edge a little bit and help it come off, but it should come off pretty simply that way. So you can see it just comes right out of the thing. So that'll give us the front of our card to make the top skinny and the bottom thicker. Okay, so we have our little dome jar shaker front part, and then we are going to remove the circle for the oval from the middle, put it back in the magnetic sheet, and then we will do the back side and putting it on the non-textured side. Once you get it in place, if you want to like tilt it a little bit, that sometimes helps give it a little extra area to cut through and run it back again. Okay. And that gives us the back piece of our little WindowRama. So this will fold up like this. And we will just put our pumpkin night right inside here. So we're just going to do that with a little bit of zip dry paper adhesive. You could use a tape runner, whatever you like to use. So you don't need very much. I just do a little line on the outside and a little bit in the middle. And go ahead and center that in the middle of the back of the card. So for the front of the card, what we're going to do is we're going to put the we're going to do the pumpkin spooks on here in Kaleidoscope embossing powder. You can see that on there. The pumpkin spooks is a 6x6 stamp, and it's great because these papers, the dome jar shaker is almost 6x6, so it works really well. Now the reason I didn't emboss it before I cut this part out is now I can use this part on another card, and if you look on the board, you'll see that's what I did. That part goes on that card over there. So that way I don't have to cut a separate piece for that card. So, but you could, you know, if you left it in and embossed it, you'd have this piece with the kaleidoscope, and you could use that on another thing. I also wanted to show you really quick, in our new fall autumn fling embossing powder kit, we have a new powder that's called pumpkin spice. And when I was designing this card, I started with the pumpkin spice on the purple, and I have to say, I super love it. I really love this, but we decided that it conflicted too much when it was next to the stamp, so we didn't want the stamp to get overshadowed by the powder. But this orange pumpkin spice on this purple is fantastic. It would be awesome on black too, I'm sure. So we're going to take our pumpkin spooks and turn it upside down, which is, I think, the easiest way to use it. And we are going to take VersaMark pad, and we're going to ink the whole thing. Get it really well inked, and I like to look at it, I like to get it at an angle so I can see that it's all really wet. There's not parts that are missing. Like I can see that this pumpkin's little mouth here is kind of missing, so I'll add some more there. And I can see that it's all shiny and that there's ink everywhere. And then I'm going to take the Kaleidoscope powder. The Kaleidoscope powder looks like this. It's EP030. It's one of our classic powders. We're gonna use our front of our card, and I'm going to use the textured side for the front. And I want to make sure that the skinny part is at the top, right? The fat part is the bottom, the skinny part is the top. So if I have the stamp right side up, I want the skinny part at the top. And I want to make sure that the little skeleton comes out on the front of the card so I can see where he is, and I can just put the card right down on top of where I want it to be. And then I'll take another piece of scratch paper and just smush it all over to make sure I get a good impression. And then I can take it off, and you can see that I have the VersaMark ink all over the card. And then I'm going to take my paper that has the fold in the middle. I'm going to take my Kaleidoscope powder and my spoon. So if you wanted to just dump it out of the jar onto the paper with the fold, then the fold will help you put the powder back in the jar, the excess powder. When I put it in a container like this, it's really easy to just scoop it in and let it fall back into the container. I mean, it's not like there's anything I could do that would make me not get it all over the place. I'm the queen of that, so that's not a problem. Our embossing powder Kaleidoscope is one that changes colors as you heat it. So it starts out embossing in a kind of, can you see that, in a blue-green look, and then the more you heat it, the more it turns kind of a coppery orange. So I'm trying to get my heat tool really hot until I can't hold my hand underneath it, and then the powder will go really fast. And hopefully you can see it changing. So I try to heat the whole thing first, get the whole thing embossed, and then I'll go back and extra heat parts of it to get that orange copper color. So it's going to be a subtle background pattern, but it's going to be kind of spooky looking, and it's going to be really fun. I love this powder, and it's a super popular one. Okay, you can see now that it's almost all kind of blue-green. So now I'm going to take it, I'm going to go on the faces and make them a little more orange. And as I heat it more, it gets a little less sparkly, but a little more orange. I mean, technically, you're really burning it when you do that. But it adds a little dimension. It adds dimension to your finished card to have that little kind of, some parts are more sparkly, some parts are more coppery looking. It's just a cool look. It's a really cool look. So then once we've got this heated, we just need to look for the score marks that the die made on the back side. I'll just fold it on the score lines. We need to make sure we have it right side up, because I have put them on upside down, even today. Just today I have done that. We are going to take the zip dry and put it along on the part that has the pumpkin knight on it. We're going to just put it on the thing there, and then we make sure we got it right side up. Line up that panel and really press that firmly. I like to press it firmly all the way to the middle. The nice thing with zip dry is that you can continue to adjust your positioning for a little bit of leeway. It really helps me to get things in the middle and where I want them. Okay, so got that on there. Just pressing it in place, and you can actually press it so it's flat like this, and then press it the other way so it's flat to get it adjusted right, and then let it dry in its little diorama form while we work on the rest of this. So what I have done is I've taken from the dome jar shaker die, I have taken the little base of the dome piece here, and I have cut that out of black cardstock, so I have that. And I have taken this little label, which is the label for the label for the base, and I have cut it out of lime pop cardstock. So you could do this either way, and I want to show you the little trick for doing this in whichever order you prefer. So what I've done is I have taken and cut the little label die out of a piece of white cardstock, and I have marked with a pencil. Oops, it helps if I put it where you can see it. I have marked with a pencil there and there. We go there and there, which correspond with the dots that you'll find in the middle of the die. There's a little hole and a little hole here, and so that tells me where the middle is going to be, because this is solid and I can't see through it. So if you prefer to stamp first, I'm using the little I'm using the words that say it's a Boo Fest. They come from the fabulous Perfectly Clear set, which is one of the ones we've had for a while, but it's really popular. It's got Halloween, a lot of Halloween greetings. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black. I always use VersaFine when I use Perfectly Clear stamps. And you could stamp your It's a Boo Fest, line up your little template paper that you made in the middle so that the one pencil line is in the middle going this way, and this one is in the middle going that way. And I use a little bit of removable tape to hold it in place. Then put your die right in that hole, and then run that through the die cutting machine. And then you'll have your words in the middle of the die. So that's something you could do if you're using a wood stamp or a cling rubber stamp and you wanted to make sure it was in the middle. With the clear stamp, you can just do this. You can just cut the little label piece out, and then you'll be able to go ahead and look right through the clear stamp handle to position it in the center ish, because I never get anything in the center. And then you have it just how you want it. So that's one way to do it as well. So I just die cut that first and then positioned it in the center there. And then what we're going to do is emboss this little piece that's the base to make it nice and sparkly. So for this, we're going to take the VersaMark ink and we're going to put it all over this piece so that this piece gets all completely inky. Evenly inky. And we're going to use our Starry Night powder. This is Starry Night. It's EP112, and it is gorgeous. Look how pretty it is. It's got all these colors of sparkle in our midnight black, and it's just a wonderful powder. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this whole piece with that powder. And then in order to heat it, I like to not burn myself. Always a possible good plan not to do. So I put it on the thing, and then I get like a little pokey tool thing, and I just hold it still while I heat it. So again, I'm getting my tool hot, and then just go ahead and heat it all the way over. So the whole thing is, make sure it's all embossed. There's no powdery parts and it all looks shiny. So there we go. And then we're going to take our Boo Fest piece and we're going to glue that onto, and never leave your pad open when you're embossing. You don't want embossing powder on your pad. I'm doing all the bad habits, I'm sorry. Some glue on the back of your label. Put the label on the middle of your base. Move it around till it's in the middle. Then I'm just going to take a 1/16 inch hole punch and punch right through the holes that are already in the label. I'm just going to punch through the base as well. See, I'm lining it right up with the hole that's already there and just punching through the base. I'm going to take a couple of silver brads. These are from Creative Impressions. This is mini rounds fasteners. And I'm going to put them through the holes. Come here, maybe. Put them through the holes, open them up on the back side. And then I'm going to use some things that I dropped on the floor. I'm from scrapbookadhesives.com. I'm going to use their black 3D paper foam, 3D foam squares. And I'll put, and I always put it in the wrong place. I have to make sure I put it where it's going to not stick on the inside. There we go. It has to stick only on the purple paper. I think we could have one in the bottom at the middle. Take the top off. Okay, we want to stick that down here so it doesn't cover our pumpkins. But we also don't want it to be sticky on the inside of the card, because if it is, and it is a little, I need to move this down more, it will glue the card shut when it folds flat. So you do want to make sure you put your hand in here and really feel that you don't have anything sticky that's sticking through the window. So make sure that everything is stuck to the purple and not through the window. And then we have our finished card, and it can fold flat to go in an envelope or pop up for display in your home for Halloween or your guest's home. And you can do all kinds of things with this dome jar shaker. You could put treat bags in here. You could put make shaker cards. We've done all kinds of samples. You can check our website for all sorts of samples using this die set. It's one of our most versatile, and it's one of our favorite. So we hope that you'll look for the display board in your local store and maybe take a class and make this darling card. Oops, it's got a little guy in the middle. There we go. There we are. Hopefully you can make our cute pumpkin night, pumpkin spooks card. Thanks so much for watching and Stampendous Step by Step. We'll see you again for the next one.